Hey guys, it's Coach Fro from RocioFlores.com, and today's topic is how to keep your social media positive. So I'm going to talk about this subject because I'm sure you've all heard somebody complain about how social media is so negative and so toxic. But it seems like social media is here to stay. It sounds like, regardless of whether it's like Facebook or Snapchat or whatever it is, some form of social media is going to be around for the rest of our lives. I think that's where technology is heading. So, sounds like we need to make it work in a way that keeps us not negative and that we can somehow make it a positive experience. So I want to give you guys 5 tips or ways to think about social media so that you are able to make that change. Before I get started, I do want to make sure that I ask you guys to subscribe to my monthly newsletter. On there, I share all the posts that I've done throughout the month. I talk about what I've been going through, what I've been learning, and then how what I've learned can relate back to your own personal journey. So make sure that you get on there. I also send you a bunch of freebies in your email when you first get it, so make sure that you get on there. I will put the link in the comments below. So, the first thing that I think is important to understand when it comes to positivity and social media and all that is that there's a very big difference between having a positive state of mind or having an optimistic state of mind or being positive in your life versus positivity culture, which is what people talk about when they talk about positivity online. And so it's important to understand that just because people talk about positivity or there's people who talk a lot about positive quotes or motivation or that kind of stuff doesn't mean that is what is positive for you in your life. So I think there is a really big difference between the idea of positivity and actually creating positive changes in your life. And so I think one way to think about it is if you were to look at an actual scale of numbers, right? Anything positive is above a 1, anything negative is below a 0. Yeah, I'm gonna make you do math, sorry. But let's say something brings you joy, or something makes you grow, or something gives you the motivation to continue in your day. And it adds to your day, right? So you're starting at a +1, then +2, +3. Then something or someone posts something that's positive, but it makes you feel like crap. Or it takes away your motivation, or it makes you want to give up, or you do give up. And so then you're negative, negative, negative. Now you're in the negatives, right? Overall, they may have been very positive driven, but they didn't create positivity in your life. So you have to understand that there's a really big difference between what is genuinely helpful, good for you, and encouraging for you, and it's actually going to give you positives in your life versus what anyone would say is positive. So keep that in mind. With that in mind, this is the painful one, sorry. You're in charge of your social media. Other than the, obviously if you read all the privacy policies like I do and the terms and blah, blah, blah on your websites, other than those rules, there really aren't many rules for social media. It's a new frontier. You get to do what you want. You are 100% in charge. There are no social rules at play. Nothing that is out in the real world matters online. Because it literally is just I'm sure somebody at some point will write a book that says no, you have to use social media this way. But right now, as of right now, you are in charge. You choose who you follow. You choose what you see. You choose what you engage on. You choose who you engage with. You choose who you're friends with, who you're not friends with, who you, just in general, how often you're on, how often you're not on, how you log on. You choose all of it. It is 100% in your control. A lot of the times people let go of that control. They want to let go of the responsibility, or they feel like they have no responsibility and they have no charge over it. And you do. You're 100% in power. So just because there's this kind of societal pressure of you have to be friends with your family, or if you don't accept this person, they're gonna think this, blah blah blah. Forget all of those things. In the end, it's all about what's actually helpful for your life, for your goals, for your needs. Social media is a little selfish. And that doesn't mean that you have to be a selfish person. It means that by protecting yourself, you're then able to grow into a better person, to be a better person, to do better in real life. For it to translate outside of the social bubble, you have to kind of protect that bubble. And so you have to understand that you get to make the rules. If that means that you need to block people who, or you just can't handle the drama. If you are not allowed, if you don't allow yourself to be friends with certain people, if you have rules of how it affects your other relationships in real life, if you have rules about what you are and aren't okay with seeing or who you're okay with talking to, you create those rules. It shouldn't be on anybody else to do that. It shouldn't be because, this person's going to be upset with me. Everyone, if you're a grown-up, hopefully you're a grown-up watching this, you get to make this decision, and if anybody confronts you in real life, you get to stand up for the decisions that you make. You get to say, I'm sorry, but what you post doesn't help me, and I don't feel like I am able to follow you or be friends with you online and be positive in my life. And so that's okay to have that kind of conversation. It's okay to let people know, I just don't feel comfortable being friends with you online. I don't like what you post. And those are really difficult conversations to have. I remember a girl came up to me at Walmart once and she was like, "You bitch, you unfollowed me on Facebook." And I remember like, "Oh, my bad." And I remember being like, "I did? Like, I must have done it in one of those." I'm just like, every now and then I do go through my friends list and think, okay, who am I not connecting with anymore? Who am I not talking to anymore? Who am I getting annoyed when I see their posts, or I don't feel good about what they post, or I don't have a way to connect with them in a positive way, or who makes me feel in a way that I don't like. And that's the third point that I want to make. Pay attention to your personal patterns. Pay attention to how you feel, how you act, how you respond, how you, just in general, what your thought patterns are. Pay attention to what triggers negative patterns in your life. And so if you're seeing yourself scroll through Facebook and you're like, ugh, you see someone's post and you're like, ugh, it makes your stomach hurt, and you're just like, or you want to say something, or it gets you into this negative thought pattern of like, well, if I could say this, I would say that, or if you're about to say something good, and the idea of somebody seeing it just makes you like, oh, they're gonna say this, or they might do this, or they might do that, or you're seeing yourself act out in ways that you don't want. Like, that if somebody posts something politics, you're gonna say something, or if they post something about religion, you're gonna say something, or if you're seeing yourself act in ways that are not in line with the person that you want to be, with the character that you want to have, with the values that you believe in. Make decisions based on those patterns. And it's okay to take your time. It's okay to kind of be like, well, let me see. Maybe this isn't what is. Maybe this is. It's okay to like people's pages or unfollow them and follow them again later. I think a really awesome tool that I know on Facebook is that you can unfollow people that you're still friends with. So you're still connected with them. They're still people that you want to stay connected with in general, but you don't gotta see what they post. And that's okay, because sometimes people have a lot going on in their life. They're at a different stage, and sometimes when you're first coming into kind of like a personal development, or you're coming into faith, or you're kind of like new at whatever it is that you're doing, sometimes you just need to step away from some of the negativity from other people's lives, because you can't be the source of support for them. And that's perfectly okay. You can always come back to those relationships and say, I'm in a place where now I can connect with people, and I can reach out to people, and I can be somebody who helps others. But pay attention to the fact that you might not be doing that right now. If you see your cousin's post saying something horrible about somebody, and you're just like, oh yeah, I remember this, and it gets you all drama, and like next thing you know, you're all pissed off going to work, and now you're treating your kids bad, and pay attention to those patterns. That will basically tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Now, the next tip is to follow through on that. I think that's the hard part, because we can all be like, oh yeah, social media this, social media that, blah blah blah, and then we just keep doing it. Like, we just keep doing the negative thing. We're like, I spend too much time on my phone, and then you just keep spending too much time on your phone, or I really shouldn't check my social media first thing in the morning, and then you just keep doing it. And so at some point you got to recognize that you're 100% in charge of this. You know what's right, you know what you should or shouldn't do, so why aren't you doing it? Like, what's keeping you from doing it? Because you can do that. Social media, at least in general, is one of those things that you genuinely do have a lot of control over. Like, most people are not forced into holding a phone. They're not forced into being on Facebook or being on Instagram or being on Twitter or talking to people. It's a decision that we make, and it's really hard to think of it that way because sometimes our decisions don't feel like we're in charge. Sometimes we're like, God, I can't help myself. You can't, because it's a pattern of behavior that you've created. Now that you know what that pattern is, you understand what the triggers are, make changes to the pattern. Make a decision that you don't want this pattern to continue in your life. Follow through on that decision. And it's hard at first. I get it. It's very hard. And so you have control over it. It's very different than other things. You don't always have, you generally sometimes don't have control over your work situations. You don't always have control over your family. You don't always have control over your country and a lot of the negative things that are happening in our world. But you do have control over what you personally do and what you personally engage with online. And then the last point, be the sunshine. So that's what I tell my family every day, because I ain't the sun.